Welcome to the free online training on Netflow Analyzer. Before we begin, I just wanted to check if you can hear me fine and also see the presentation well and good. If yes, then please do confirm by commenting on the webinar chat panel. Just a quick reminder, if you can hear me fine and also see the presentation well and good, then please do confirm by commenting on the webinar chat panel available on your screen. I will be waiting for a few comments to come up, after which we will be starting the presentation. Okay, so I do see that we've got some good number of comments here. Thank you for the confirmation, the audience. So with this being said, let me start with today's presentation. So before we begin, just wanted to give a short overview of myself. I am Deepak Suresh, product specialist with the Netflow Analyzer. I handle both the pre-sales and also the post-sales and support for any prospects who are looking into Netflow Analyzer and also our purchase customers. And with the knowledge that I've been seeing over the years, I wanted to share this over today's presentation there. So this being said, what is the topic for today? It's going to be the second part of the two-part series, which is going to be advanced functionalities of Netflow Analyzer. So previously we did join for the session and we looked into the basics as of how you could set up the device and get the flows, what kind of details and reports you see. This time we'll be looking into the far more advanced features that we have with Netflow Analyzer. So how's the agenda is that first we'll be looking into what is Medianet and multicast monitoring. How do you monitor IP SLA with Netflow Analyzer? Our reporting functionalities with the forecast and capacity trend. Application visibility control, which can be monitored with Netflow Analyzer. Shaping up your traffic with Netflow Analyzer, and how do you monitor wireless traffic. Also, we'll be looking into one of our key features in the enterprise edition called as the advanced security analytics. We'll also be looking into one of our prime functions called as the deep packet inspection for latency monitoring. And finally, we have a look into the distributed monitoring setup that we have, because we do support that functionality. So this is the agenda. So I'll go one by one, and just to let you know that this is a recorded session. So you will be getting the transcript of this particular presentation that I'm taking, and also the recorded session is available on the link which will be sending you across by tomorrow. Also, we do have a wide range of panelists available to answer any questions that you have during the due course of today's presentation there. So feel free to drop in any questions or any comments that you have so that we can address it right away. So with this being said, let me go to the first topic for today, which is going to be Medianet and multicast monitoring. So what exactly is Medianet? Medianet is actually one of Cisco's technology that they have that allows a user to monitor the rich media traffic. So you might ask me why we need to do that at the first place. So this is a good question, because the recent times we have been using a lot of rich audio and video. So let's say something like video conferencing, or you might be an organization that uses a lot of videos and audio for transcripts for your daily use. So in this case, we need to make sure that they are at the peak performance. By how do you do that? Is that you will be improving the QoE that's available. With this particular functionality, Medianet, we can also measure performance statistics like jitter, packet loss, latency, and all that information that's there. So these are some details that you can already do. And let me show you with our product as of how you could do it best. So from now on, I will be switching to and fro between the demo site and one of my labs to show you this functionality. So let me do that right now and talk to you about what we do when it comes to Medianet monitoring. So we quickly go to the inventory, because that's where we have the device details listed there. Okay, so we have a particular device listed right there. So what happens is this, in order for this to work, you need to have the Medianet functionality enabled on your device. So only if you have that detail, you can go ahead and monitor it right away. So let me actually do that and show it to you. So you have a dedicated tab for Medianet. So that's when you can see the details. So as you can see, what we do is every transaction that happens within the Medianet that uses the Medianet transaction, we will be using, we will identify that, and we'll be able to tell you the top talkers, as in like we show you the entire conversations, right from the source, the destination, what are the applications behind it, how many packets have been used, and how much volume. So not just that, you can also look into it on the graph to understand how the application has been used with respect to time. You can also look into other details, because right now we are talking to you about traffic. If you want to look into the jitter-based details, as of what happens, you can look into that. So it tells you what is the jitter minimum, maximum, and average for every single transaction. The round trip times that was involved for every single application is also available there, as you can see. And in case of any packet loss, we can also show you that information also, as of how much packet loss has been there and what is the percentage when it comes to the overall packet loss that's been recorded so far. And if you just want to see the top talkers within that particular Medianet, then you can see the entire list here. So all of them under one single roof. This is available specifically for in data and out data. You can also, like, let's say you have the IPs, you want to understand which host it is, just go ahead and click on resolve DNS toggle, and that should resolve the DNS, and we should be able to show you the host name. You can also export this particular report. You have the options right there. If you want to schedule it, you have an option there too. So all of this is available. So this can help you effectively monitor the rich media that's being used in your environment. Okay, so second thing, multicast traffic monitoring. So what exactly is multicast? So as you're aware, we do have broadcast, which is like you have the one that we're doing right now. So how multicast works is that like you're going to send out the information to a specific set of audience who are connected to a particular network. So just like this webinar that we're taking, so we are connected to this. The information is being passed across different users across the globe. So if you need to monitor something like that, like the multicast traffic that's happening, then in that case you can use our multicast traffic monitoring. So how it works with Netflow Analyzer is that it allows any particular host to send a packet to a specific group of hosts. So that's basically multicasting, that is. But how do you monitor it is that we will be able to look into the usage. We'll also be able to report you on the speed. So let me show you that. So again, going back to the inventory. Okay, so as you can see, we have a dedicated tab for multicast that's going to show you how your regular traffic and your multicast traffic has been coming up in the due course, because many organizations set up the multicast in such a way that it's not cross, let's say 10% of the overall traffic or 20%. So you can now check it right by looking into this graph. So it's going to show you the traffic, the regular traffic, and how much of the multicast traffic has come up. You can even scroll down to look into the exact table. So we are looking into the speed. We can also show you the information in volume, which can be in KB or Mbps, KB or MB. Utilization will be done based on percentage. It's the calculation of the link speed versus the volume. And if you also want to look into the packets, as in the exact flow packets coming in, you can also do that too. So the list of all the top talkers are listed for your analysis. So you get an idea that, okay, these are the applications that are using the multicast and how much they've been used, what are the packets behind them, how much utilization overall has come up. So you get to see that information right there, as you can see. Okay. So the second topic is IP SLA monitoring. So IP SLA, what exactly are you going to monitor that? Let me give you a short scenario in order to understand what are the features that we do and how you can monitor that. So let's say we have three particular centers here. One is the development center. Let's say that's in a particular location, so like something like New York. And you have the service provider somewhere in New Jersey, and you have your headquarters in Washington. So three different locations, okay? But they can be connected over LAN or so, if in case you can do that. So how it works is that the development center has like the IP phones, like the Avayas, and they are going to be connected to any particular switch router. That's going to be indirectly connecting you to the network, internet, which is connecting you to service provider on the WAN, and in turn it's going to connect you to the headquarters that's in a different location. So this is just one connection. What are the other types of connections that you can have in the development center? One is if you're going to use, let's say, like video. So you're going to do something like a video transfer, or you're going to do a video conferencing, anything that involves rich media and audio, again, video. So that's another transaction that's happening. And let's say there are other servers or workstations that are connected across the WAN. So as you can see, there are 3 separate entities that are connected overall to the particular headquarters or the WAN connection. How do you get to manage them effectively using the IPSLA? So that's what we're going to see here. So the first thing is, how do you monitor them? So how do you monitor the WAN performance? So we'll be able to do multiple activities. One is going to be identifying the network paths with high round trip time, because if the round trip time is high, you're eventually going to lose out the data. There's going to be data transmission loss. So you don't need to have that happening. We can also identify whether outage is happening by looking into the latency graph. So let's say there is latency happening. You can look into the graph. We have a specific one, I'll show you, and you can identify that information. And how it works in the backend is that we actually collect the IPSLA traps that happen between the different routers. So on your development center and on your headquarters, we will have like Cisco routers or any routers and that supports IPSLA. So we will be looking into the trap information that's coming in, and if we find out any events like a connection loss, or if there's going to be a threshold violation for your round trip, or some things like the timeout, the payload. So any kind of information that we can get from your IPSLA, we can have that monitored. So how do you actually monitor it with our product is first to add a WAN monitor. So in order to do that, you need to have these prerequisites set up. The first thing is going to be, you need to have a Cisco router that supports IPSLA. So which means the agent should be enabled. The iOS version should not be less than 12.3, so it can be 12.3 or more, and the it should have in our product we should have both the SNMP read and write community for that particular device, because we need that to write the commands in order for to export the IPSLA packets. Now, how do you get to do that is very simple. All you have to do is you go to the inventory, IPSLA, you click on the WAN, and you click on the plus icon. That's going to tell you the details, and you can go ahead and add the details like the source and destination of the IP. So let me actually do that for you. So you go to IPSLA. So you have multiple metrics, as I told you, WAN monitor. First, let me go ahead with one. So all you have to do is just go ahead and click on the plus icon. So once you do that, you can give a name for your identification. You select which device that we're going to work with, what kind of interface you're looking into, the source and destination port, and again a display name for our identification. So once you go ahead and click on save, you will be adding a monitor like this. So let me get into the monitor and actually show you that. But before that, let me talk to you about the different monitors that we have with our product. So first is VoIP performance monitoring, VoIP, voice over IP is what we're looking into. So what are the metrics that we monitor? So VoIP, as you're aware, is being used by the IP phones, the Avaya phones, and now for that communication to be best, we need to make sure that we look into all these key metrics that I'm talking about. The first going to be jitter. So what exactly is jitter is that it's going to be the variation in delay between the arriving packets. So a packet is coming from one point to another point. If there's going to be a delay in that, we call it the jitter. This delay can be devastating because if it's going to be high, if the jitter is high, then we'll not be able to monitor it effectively. Latency. So what the time taken for the voice packet to reach the destination. So it's going to come from one point to another. I told you, right? So latency is the packet going from point A to point B. But what happens is that latency can change. If that's going to be a variation, that's when jitter comes in. So the basic is latency. If there's a variation, that's going to be jitter. Packet loss, so which means the packet is going in, but it's not reaching the point of transmission. Mean opinion score, the MAS score that we say, so that's the standard for measuring codecs. It's rated from 1 to 5, where 1 being good and 5 being bad. So you can see that information also. So let me show you that information. So we've already added some details there. So as you can see, it gives you all the details right away, like what is the source to destination jitter, the round trip, the packet loss, the latency, all of that. So you can actually scroll down to see that information. You see the availability, how long it's been monitored. You see the threshold details, which we can set up. Not just that, you can also look into the graphs, like the MOS history, how it's been, the number, positive and negative jitter, whether it, from destination to source and the other way around, which is source to destination. Latency from source to destination and the other way around. You can also work on the timing here. So you can go ahead and change it. So by default, it's showing today. You can enable it and you can change the time of your choice. Call path availability, whether the call was success, whether it failed, if it was busy, you can see that. The packet error statistics, so if that's going to show you if in case there's going to be any packet loss. And you can also see other information like the alarm. So if in case you set up any alarms, you can see that too. So you get a clear idea of all the metrics that I told you, like jitter, packet loss, latency, and you have dedicated graphs to look into, like a time frame in order to identify how it's been working on a given span of time. This being said, just wanted to let you know about the video performance monitoring, because this is something that we have a new function there. So with, as I told you, many organizations are switching to video conferencing than audio, because that's going to help improve the communication between the two parties. So the video traffic, as I told you, in order to monitor them, you can do that with the IPSLA video monitoring. So you can make sure that it's going to be of best performance. It's going to help you understand the IP service levels. You can also increase productivity. You can lower the operational cost. You can also lower the frequency of network outages. And if in case you need to do a troubleshooting, you can do that too. So all of these functions is available in our product. Let me show you. So you go to the IPSLA, you go at video. So you click on any of the video monitors, you can actually see what are the metrics there. So you have the source to destination jitter, you have the average jitter, you have the average of positive and negative latency, and you also have the source and destination latency. So all of these metrics are available for you to monitor. So just to let you know, we have these three metrics there, which is going to be WAN, VoIP, and video that you can monitor. So under WAN, you can monitor things like the availability, round trip time, path hop, and which is here. Let me show you. So as I said, it shows you the details like the minimum round trip time, things like the round trip timing. You can see the availability history, the path hop, round trip time, and the threshold. So all of that. And with the VOIP, you get additional functions like the availability, mask port, jitter, latency, packet loss, and call path availability. You also have video monitoring, where we look into, like, it's a mix and match of both WAN and VoIP. It's going to be availability, jitter, latency, and packet loss. So with this being said, the next question would come up. How do you plan bandwidth requirements and how to limit the usage of non-business app, which means non-business critical applications? So that's a good question, because we do get this with a lot of our prospects who are actively looking into the product. So they need to plan the bandwidth requirement, because some might come in saying that there's been a spike, and once you get to use the product, then the next question would be, how do you actually plan your requirement? So we do have solutions for that. Let me actually show it to you. So we have this forecast report. This is actually one of the brand new reports that we have with the product. So what this does is that it's able to look into, identify the bandwidth usage patterns, and you can foresee your future needs, which means you can, let's say the traffic analysis. So let me actually take it to that 1 minute. So it's available under reports, Netflow, forecast. So what happens is, as the name suggests, just like a weather forecast, we'll be able to forecast how your network usage can be, because we analyze how the usage has been so far, and based on that we can show you like a 7-day report or things like that. Let me show you. You select an interface. You can say which metric you want, so something like speed, utilization, and you want to see it for a number of days. You have a minimum of 7 days. You can even go to a year. So let's say I'm going with 7 days. I can go ahead and create a report. So what we do is we analyze the usage, and based on that, we can tell you that this is how it can be. As in with respect to the usage, you can expect a usage growth over the last 7 days like this. You can see each of the information there. If you want to see the history, just click on that. It's going to show you the entire history also, how it is going to be, as in it's going to now show you 2 weeks, as in 1 week before and the forecast after. So you see that also. So this is available for both volume, speed, and utilization. So what happens is you can now get a clear idea as of how your bandwidth can grow, so that you can work with your network team and make sure that your network is good to handle the upcoming the traffic that's there. So that's about the forecast. That's a new one. Please do try that and let us know how it goes. The second one is the capacity trend reports. So this has been there for a while, and this is one of the major reports that customers actually love. So what this does is that, as the name suggests, it's going to show you how the capacity has been growing in a given point of time. So as I said, it's going to measure and manage your bandwidth usage over a period of time. You select the time period. We will be reading the flows, right? So we get to say how your application has been growing in a given time, and you can actually see the pattern as of how it's growing. So let's say you have a business critical application, you want to make sure that it's being used more than the other ones, in the non-business critical ones. You can actually confirm it using the capacity trend. So as it's right here, capacity planning. You select a different source. You have different source options there. I'm selecting the same one before. I'm saying, okay, I want to see the something like speed. I want to see that for last week. And you have different options. Like if you want to select a business hour filter, so let's say 8 to 5, you don't want to see the traffic between that, you can do that. If you want to exclude weekends, you could do that. It shows you only the weekdays. So let me go ahead and create the report. Okay, so capacity planning, as you can see, it's showing you for that particular interface how your traffic has been in the given point of time. So it's showing you the details like you see the 1 minute average, showing the data on that. It's going to show you the data points in and out, as in with every single day, what's the average, minimum, and maximum, both for in and out data. Shows you a standard deviation graph on a daily basis, average usage every single day, how it has been with respect to the traffic. Application again is showing you how the top 10 applications in, top 10 applications out, and you get to see this information. That's what I told you. So you can see how one of your application has been growing at a given point of time. It tells you that information right away for both the in and out growth. So you can see that here. So with this, you can analyze how your capacity, how your network has been growing, and based on that, how you can tweak your capacity based on that. That's another thing that we do with our reports. So there is another major function that we have as we are discussing about advanced functionalities. We also work with application visibility and control from Cisco. It's called as the Cisco AVC. As the name suggests, it's application visibility and control. So what happens at AVC is that we give you a better visibility into the layer 7 traffic. Because in the previous session, you did see about the traffic coming on the inventory. Okay, you go to the interface, you see applications. We only list you like the top 10 or the entire list of layer 4 applications that have come up. But when it comes to Cisco AVC, how it works is that you can now like look into the NBAR 2 applications, as in let's say traffic that's happening in the HTTP, you can break that down, and in that the packets we will analyze it. We can identify that, okay, this particular usage has gone for Gmail, this particular usage has gone for YouTube or Facebook, anything. So any traffic that's happening on layer 7 front, we can have that monitored. So as I said, it's used to identify the web traffic, the URL, file sharing, and random port application. So you get a bunch of different details that you can monitor. You can also see other information like the hit count that's come up. This is available on our HTTP host report. We have application response timing, which is another thing that we get. So you get to like see what are the packets coming in, whether they're coming from the client or server, and if there's any retransmissions, things like that. So, and you might ask, how do you enable it? It's very simple. You just need to add the additional fields on the exported flow. So if you're using Netflow version 9, in order for this to be working, you can just let us know. So we'll provide you the commands in order to have the NBAR 2 or the flexible flow enabled on your device. So let me show it to you in person. So inventory. So let me see you that. So you go to the interface. It's available only on the interface. You go to the NBAR tab. My bad. Yep. So over here. So as I said, you need to go into the interface page, go to the NBAR tab, and you should be able to see the information right there. So as you can see, we break down the traffic from the HTTP front, the layer 7. You get to see the entire list here. And as we can drill down and show you information, you can also do that. So let's say this particular one, like Facebook is not a business critical application. You can now see who are the top talkers that have been using Facebook so far. You get to see the port and the protocol involved. So let's say if you need to do something like a traffic shaping, or if you need to like block it, you can do it right away just by looking into the information here. So also we have this AVC functionality that I told you about. So it gives you information on the QoS stats. So let's say you have the QoS class that consists of both the parent and the child QoS. You can now see for any particular QoS class how much traffic has come up and what are the applications that is involved. You can also see on a conversation view as of what are the top talkers across the entire QoS class. Not just that, you can also look into the application response time. So as I said, you can now look into this detail. It gives you the information on, let's say, any client packets have come up, how many server packets, retransmissions, transactions, connections, responses. So you get to see a wide range of information related to the response time of each application available. You also have the HTTP host information. Let me show you, where we break down the hosts that have been used under the HTTP. So here, so you have this HTTP host over here. So it breaks down the host as it means. You get to see the host, how much connections, how many packets, what are the individual data. So you get to choose that details and you can work on it. So that's some of the. So when you even look into the domain, you can go one more level deeper and you can see the entire transactions for that particular HTTP host alone. So these are like functions that come with the product. So just to let you know, this is not like an add-on. If you have the, if your device supports this functionality, you can very well use that and you can get the information from there. So as I said, monitoring HTTP traffic and the application response times. So the second thing is like tracking the applications that is consuming the most traffic within NBAR. As I said, you do get to choose that information there. And you can view that information in two ways. As in, one is, let's say your device supports flexible flow and you're able to get that information. So that's well and good. But we also have another scenario where the device does not support it, but you can do it using SNMP. So in that case, it's going to be an add-on where we do work with the NBAR monitoring. So let me show you that. So you can see that information here. Let me show you. So basically what it does is the same kind of information breaks down the traffic, but instead of getting it from the flow, we'll be getting it from the SNMP. That's the only major change. That's listed. So as you can see, it's now showing you the same kind of data. It's breaking it down based on the applications and what are the traffic from that. Okay. So with this being said, let's look into the other topic, which is going to be traffic shaping. So what does it actually mean? So it means that you are actively shaping your environment, or let's say your bandwidth in such a way that it's going to give the most bandwidth only for the business critical application. So on the other ones, you can choose to cut them down. You can do it manually from your devices, as in like you can go ahead and do that, but we from Netflow Analyzer can do that for you. Again, this is an add-on. How we do that is that we'll be working with the ACLs, just like how you have it on your routers. So we can filter out excess router traffic by blocking or restricting the IPs or the IP networks. So very simple. As I said, you can go ahead and manually do it from our UI itself rather than you going into every single device, typing the commands and then getting it done. So let me actually show that to you in person. So for this, you should go to the device view, not the interface, because we're going to make this change directly on the interface itself. So let me take this particular router. Now, when I go to the hamburger menu over here, it tells me the option ACL. So I go ahead and click on the ACL in order to set up ACL for the device. So it is now showing you different options as of how you can add the ACL. So as you're aware, there are two types. One is going to be standard and works with 0 to 99, and extended, that's allowing you to set up with the protocol, and it's from 100 to 199. You can either permit or you can deny. This is the kind of actions that you can perform so for a particular protocol. You can also do other things like let's say a particular source host, you don't want this to be used, or if you want a destination host also not to be used with respect to a particular protocol, you can deny that. So these are the kind of actions that you can perform. This is like the first kind of traffic shaping that you can do. So once you set up the ACL, it will be written directly on the device, and rather than you doing it manually. Second thing that we use is the service policy. So what we do here, so as you're aware, we can set up service policies, and by setting it up, you can actually limit the access to the applications based on priority, which means you will actually be creating like a class and you will be associating it to a policy. So why do you do that? You get to choose which particular application gets the best bandwidth or the most bandwidth, and you can limit the access to from that. So let me show it to you. So you go to the same hamburger menu, you have an option here that says service policy. When you click on it, it's going to show you the detail. So it's asking you what you need to add, whether a policy or class. So let me first add a class. That's why we given the criteria, right? So you give it a name for identification. You want to like match a particular statement or so. And what is that? Is the criteria that is set up. So you can now set up something like protocol. And when I go ahead and set up the protocol, I can even keep adding more. Let's say I'm going to set up something like an access group, and you can also let us know which one it is. You can keep adding. So what happens is you now go ahead and customize the kind of service policy that you want, and you can set it up. So what happens after you set that up? Let me show you. So this is why you set up the policy. This is the criteria that we were talking about. So once you set up the map, the one that you created before, so you can now look into things like this. So let's say something like the bandwidth and KPS, it should not cross this limit. So that's one you can set up. You can also look into the drop, the queue limit, the priority. So you get to choose a lot of different details. So something like the class bandwidth, so you can look into that. That's already been applied. We have a traffic shaping bandwidth. So all of these options are available. You can set that up. And let me show you one more thing. Yeah, so what happens is once you set it up, you set up the traffic shaping, and then you can also do things like you can validate the quality of service policies with the class-based quality of service. So you've already set up the class, right? The one that we set up right now. So actively, we are going to shape the traffic. And how do you see the change is by looking into the CBQOS. It's going to show you how, like, as you can see from the screenshot, it's going to show you before you set up the policy, how much it was, and after you set up the policy, how much it has gone to. You can even see the drop percentage with respect to the classes. So these on the right are the classes. You can see how they have come up. So you can see that it's been quite high over here, around 200 plus averaging, and now it's gone down after we set up the information there. Okay, so you get to actively shape the traffic with ACL service policies, and how do you see that is by using the CBQOS function that's available within the product. The second or one of the next thing that we're looking into is the wireless traffic monitoring. Yes, we do monitor wireless devices with us. So how do you get to do that is we have the WLC monitoring within our product. So how that works is that you can monitor the Cisco wireless LAN controllers, and the licensing is based on the number of access points, because you can have a number of access points, and rather than working with different users, that's how the other products do. But we do it just based on the device that's being added, as in like with respect to the access points, just to make it easier. And what happens if you add it is that you can now find the top traffic usage across the wireless LAN controllers, as in like you can see based on the access points, you can see it based on the SSIDs, the application, the clients, so things like that. Let me show you. So you can say, I mean, this is just like flow control. You'll have to add the commands in order to have the flow exported. Once you see the details, it will be listed here as the controllers. You can drill down to see the different access points that is listed down there, or you can always go to the access point tab and you can see that information here. So let me take one example and I'll show you what are the functions that we have. So we have this one, and I'm going to choose any one of the access points here. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so something like this. This is one of our access points. Just like how you've seen on the previous session, for any device, you can see the traffic information there, both in and out. This is just a sneak peek, but if you want to see in-depth details, you can click on the name or the expand icon on the opposite. So you now see the traffic graph. This is for the last 1 hour. We are showing you the volume, speed, and packet count. So you get to see for every single minute what was the in traffic and out traffic. Different export options and scheduling options are available there. And also the graphs, you can interact with the graph, as in you want to see this section alone, you can do that automatically. The time frame will change. So with this being said, what are the other information we can show? So we can show you the top clients, because on the other end it was top sources, right? Because for physical devices, this is a wireless LAN controller, so we use it this way where we show you the top clients. You can also like drill down and see where they've been communicating to. So like things like the client MAC address, you can see the applications being used. You can also look into the SSIDs, the pre-DSAB, post-DSAB, all of that right there. We have it specifically for in and out data. You can also look into the MAC address. So previously we had like source, you will be resolving it to get the like the host name. This time it's the other way around. You can resolve it to show the MAC address so that you can identify which device it is right away. You can also look into it based on the SSIDs. So each of the wireless or the Wi-Fi connections, you can look into that. You can go one more level deep, and you can see the entire conversation that's happened for that particular SSID. Same thing with the application. You get an overall hang of what are the applications that have been used so far. You get to see who's been using it. We have multiple level of drill down. QoS information is also available. So if you have prioritized traffic for that particular ASAM controller and you want to see the information based on that, you can do it too. So with this being said, let me actually show you the top talkers that we can show. So we give you the entire list from the access points MAC ID, what it is, what is the client's MAC ID, the device, the device from where we've been accessing the internet, and we have the application, the SSIDs, we have the DSCP, and things like that. Not just that, you can also do other information with our product. As in, let's say wireless and controllers, you can group it. You have options to look into the client IP, the MAC IP, so all of that. I'll just discuss that in a few minutes. As I said, you can group your wireless LAN controllers for easy management. As I said, you can do it based on the SSIDs, and why you would need it is that if in case you need to troubleshoot the bandwidth for identifying the consumption that's come up on the SSIDs, you can find the top clients, the top conversations, all of that. How do you group it? It's very simple. You see the access point group, just go ahead and click on add, or you also have the global setting options here under settings, Netflow, group settings, and on the far right you have an option that says the SSID groups that you can create or the access point groups that you can create. Okay. So coming to one of the key features here, which is going to be the advanced security analytics module. So what is this module? Why you would be needing this, and where exactly would you be using this? So ASAM, or the advanced security analytics, let me call this attacks. So this attacks module is a part of the enterprise edition alone, because we have two editions. One is the standalone, we call it the essential. The second one is called as the enterprise, which supports the distributed monitoring. So this is a part of enterprise monitoring. And what exactly this does, let me give you an idea. So you're aware that there are a lot of attacks that can happen on any particular environment. Like even GitHub, which is one of the biggest sources there, even that was attacked by DDoS attack like a few years back. So as you're aware, there are multiple attacks that can happen to a particular environment that's connected to the internet, like DDoS attacks. We can have scan probe. You can also look into like the botnets. So these are some major kind of attacks that. What are the attacks? Some people might not know. So let me just give you a short overview of how it works. So a botnet, how it works is that, as you can see from stage one, there is a hacker who is like sending out a particular virus over the internet, and he affects a set of workstations within a network. So that's called as a botnet. You made it like a slave to your environment. And second stage, what he does is that he asks for ransom. So as in like they will be doing it for fraudulent activity, if you want to do spamming, if you want to create an attack, or if he wants to do any kind of cyber crime, he can simply use that botnet and he can attack the users on the internet. So this is one major function or major attack that can happen in any environment. The second type is the major one, which is the DDoS attack. DDoS basically means distributed denial of service. So what is denial of service? As you can see in the step one, there is a particular hacker who's trying to give out like infinite pings to multiple devices across the network. So it can be anything that you can ping, like a workstation, a CPU, even like a security camera that can work. So any kind of device, if you have an IP, you can flood it with ping requests. So what happens is the devices that they are going to send out a lot of requests to your key server, and thereby denying the service for the users within your network. So attack is coming from the outside. It's going to flood your server that handles all these requests, and thereby the users inside your network will not be able to use it. So that's called as the DDoS, or the distributed denial of service. This is one of the major things. This is brought down entire organization's servers for more than a day. So this third type is going to be the scan probe. What this does is that, as you can see, the hacker will actually look for open ports within your environment. So if he tries to find out that, he keeps pinging every single port. If any one port is open, that's his gateway. He goes into your environment, he hacks it, or he's able to take slaves or things like that. So these are some kind of activities, or these are some attacks that happen in day-to-day basis. You might ask me Deepak, why are you giving me all of this information? How is it helpful with the ASAM? So this is exactly what ASAM can detect. So we can detect attacks based on the flow information that we're getting, and this can be done using the advanced security analytics module or the attacks module within our product. So you can identify any malicious traffic that's coming in because we have this algorithm, we have a coding engine. So what that does is that it will keep reading the flows, and if we find out there's any anomaly, we see something is not usual, and we will be able to alert you even before any kind of attack can happen in place. So we can ASAM will classify the traffic based on suspect flows. These are 4 types: suspect flows, the bad source and destination, DDoS, and scan probe. So these are 4 different attacks that we show in our product. So let me show you that. So you have it here under the attacks. So you can see the different kind of problems that we have. So let's say I'm going to one particular one, scan probe. You can see that, okay, there's something called as the malformed ICMP or the ping host scan. I want to see what this particular problem is, just to make sure that it's not going to create a big problem. So I go ahead and click on it. It gives you a clear overview of what is the occupancy here with respect to the source and destination. You can also see information like who are the top attackers or the offenders who are trying to attack your environment, what part of the let's say if it's going to be India or any other country, United States. So you can select it. You can also see where it's originating from. You can also look into the top targets that are being attacked, they're going to be attacking these targets lately. What are the traffic sources that they've used so far? You get to see the entire list of the devices. Any unique connections have been made. You can also look into that, meaning you can look into the conversation. You can see what is the source and destination port and what's the protocol, so that you can now go ahead and block it also if in case you fear an attack is imminent. You can also do troubleshooting based on the field details that we have. So if you fill that up, you can actually go ahead and get more details right away. So this was on the attacks. You can also do other things like you can get an alert if in case of an attack. So it's available here. Go to settings, Netflow attacks. You have an option to go ahead and enable or disable. Let me select it. The different thresholds you can set up. As you can see, the same excess ping responses. You can set up the upper limits, or if you want in-depth advanced settings, just click on it, showing you the entire details. These are recommended values, but if you want to change it, you can do that too. And if you want to create an alert, if in case an alarm or an attack has been detected, how do you get an alert? It's simple. Go to the app, and you can now select which criteria you're looking into, and within that particular criteria, you can actually see what are the information there. And the next step would be selecting their criteria. So I'm selecting this, I'm selecting the criteria. The criteria would be based on different actions. So you can see there's like a router IP, source IP. You can let us know which IPs that you're looking to monitor for the attacks. You can give that value over here. So not just that, you can also do other things with the tool. So you get email. So the second thing, let's say, give some details. So these are how you can go ahead and yeah, so you can see this information there, the alert profiles. You can go ahead and create the information right away. So once this is done, we'll be looking at the second one, which is going to be the packet inspection. So this is another functionality. This is used to monitor the latency within the network. So how it works is that first you have to understand what is latency. So it's like say you have a client which is going to communicate with your server. So how it basically works is first it will try to like ping with the response that it has in its host. So it will know that this is where I have to reach. When it gets the response and when it comes back as an acknowledgement, so that's going to be a round trip, right? So if there is going to be a delay in that, we need to know how much it's going to be. So half of any round trip is the one transaction that's happening, and in that transaction from one packet to another one, to one side to another, if it's going to take time, then that's going to be that. So you can now work with DPI in such a way that, because DPI does not use flow, this is the packets that are coming in. This is basically packet capture, but this is like an advanced version where you can generate the reports by two methods. One is port mirroring and the second one is offline. So let me show you how it works. But before you do that, you need to make sure that you have the HyperF add-on there. So HyperF is like a functionality that we have to extend the capabilities of our database. So like it extends the space, it also extends the performance, so things like that. How do you do that? As you can see from the image, you have these switches. You'll have to mirror a port and directly to the NIC card of your server that you have the Netflow Analyzer installed on. And if that is done, then we can go ahead and monitor the details for DPI. So what are the details? Let me show you. So you go to the DPI here, you get to see the values based on the packets as I told you. So there are two things of how you can work with. Let me show you. You can now see the traffic between two metric protocols, which is one you have TCP, the second one UDP. So let's say I'm looking into the UDP traffic. You can now see how the traffic has been coming up so far. So as I said, the basic key is to look into the latency to identify if it's happening on the network end or if it's happening on the application end. You get to see that details there. What are the conversations behind them? So again, these information are not from flow. These are from the packet capture. Okay. So with this being said, where you will be using this in order to find the applications. As I told you, you get to see when it comes to TCP, you get to see the information like the network response time or the application response time. When you know that something is high, you can click on it. You can see which are the URLs that are sending out more network response time. Okay. Not just that, you can also view the reports that we have for DPI. So just like you've seen before, we have this report called as the DPI forensics. You get to choose different kind of parameters in order for the criteria. And once you go ahead and create it, you can actually see the data right here. So it gives you information about the traffic, the application, how much hit count has come up on any particular URL. So you get to see that, the source information, the destination information, and conversation. So you get to see the entire list. But yep, DPI there. So this being said, let me come to the last topic for today. It's going to be the distributed monitoring. So what we do here under distributed monitoring is, or why you would need it at the first place, is for two things. One is high scalability and centralized monitoring. So which means if you want to like do a load sharing or something like that, you can still use the distributed monitoring. Or if you want to look into like monitoring different sites. So let's say you have one site in New York, you have two other sites in New Jersey, you have in like Washington, you have one in the West Coast, things like that. So if you can't monitor them all of the like at one go over one single connection, then you can have the enterprise edition or the distributed. What it does is you can have one central server on the head office or so, and each of the sites, as you can see here, you can have the client. So this is like a standalone. Once you create that, what happens is you can view the information from each of the standalones right from the central server itself. So this gives you better visibility, as I told you, and also you get an idea of the centralized monitoring that you have for the enterprise edition there. So let me show you how it is. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so I'm just quickly logging into the central server as we speak. This is my lab. So the central server, as I told you, this is the key, and this is where you'll be putting in the license and you'll be creating this stuff. And so first you'll be installing the central server, and once you're done with that, on the site that you're going to install the collector, you can do that. While you're installing the collector, the final step, it will ask you the details of the central so that it can communicate with the central server and you can get the details. So as you can see, this is the central server. It's showing you like what are the different collectors we have. If you click on any one of them, we'll only show you the details of that particular collector alone. But if you want to see all of them under one single roof, you can click on the all collectors. It shows you the combined data between all of the collectors at once. If you want to connect to any one of your collector right from here, you could do that. So let's say we have this collector, I want to connect to it. So rather than you looking up the name and then typing it again, you can just come to the collectors, click on this, and automatically it will take you to that particular collector. So you can log into that, and that's going to give you the details of that particular standalone, and you can work with that. So as you can see, there's better monitoring. You get to see the devices based on what kind of collector that you're selecting. And again, if you push the license, you just need to apply the license here. It will be automatically pushed to all the devices right from there. So there's better communication also. So there is one more new feature that we brought in, which is the distributed monitoring, because now a lot of the features that I discussed, it's actually there in the enterprise edition. You might wonder that, okay, I am on the standalone edition, how do I convert? So again, you'll have to purchase the license for that, but for the setup, technically, you can actually make that particular standalone server, you can make it as a collector. So I'll show you how. So you go to the product, you go to settings. Oh, sorry, it's right there, settings, Netflow. You have distributed monitoring. So if you go ahead and click on this one, enable distributed monitoring, you can just let us know what is the port and the collector name. So you'll have to restart the server, after which now this will become like the distributed edition, and you cannot change it back. Just to let you know, once you change to an enterprise edition, you cannot switch back to the essential edition again. So this is something that you can look into. There's an option for you right there. So with this being said, let me quickly give you a comparison on the different editions that we have. So as I said, we have two editions. One is the Essential, the second is the Enterprise. Essential being standalone, Enterprise is for distributed monitoring. So the large systems. The flows supported are 50,000 flows for the standalone, and if it's the Enterprise, you can go to 80 to 85,000 flows per second. Almost every single feature available in the enterprise is available with the essential, but it misses out on four things. One is the capacity planning report that we discussed, the NBAR monitoring for application, CBQOS, class-based QoS monitoring to see how the changes has come up after traffic shaping, and finally advanced security analytics module. So this is the attacks that we mentioned. So these are a part of enterprise and not as an add-on with essential also, just to let you know. So giving a summary, we've seen about the different types of monitoring like Medianet, Multicast. We've seen about the IPSLA, the WLC monitoring with our product, and how you get to do traffic shaping with respect to the ACL. We also looked into the service policy, and we also looked into how the attacks works with our product, the DPI, for packet inspection, latency, and also the distributed monitoring. So with this being said, we just wanted to address the different questions and answers that we've received so far. So we've got a bunch of those. The first one being, what is AVC and what do I see in AVC? That's a good one. I believe he joined in late. So the AVC is going to be Cisco's application visibility and control. So this gives you a better idea of how the traffic has been going ahead on. Yeah, so you can see that information there. What are the AVC information you can see, as I said? So you get to see what are the applications. Let me show you. So you go to the AVC tab and you get to see the information like the HTTP host. You can break that down and see the traffic based on that. The QoS stats to show you the information about the parent and the child QoS, and the application response time, how the application has been responding, the packets, the retransmissions, clients, all of that. And second question being, am I missing? Sorry, I am missing the capacity planning report. How do I get it? So which means you are not on the enterprise edition. That's why it's only available on the essential edition. So if you do have, if you do want to see that feature, we will be listing out the email address of our sales team, so you can just write to them saying that, hey, I'd like to see this report. So please do like convert my ID to the enterprise, and we can help you with that. So once you get the license, you should be able to see that under the report. So you see, go to reports, you have Netflow, you will find here capacity plan. Third one, how to monitor latency. Okay, so there are different ways of how you can monitor the latency. Basically we do it using the DPI deep packet inspection, so we get to see the traffic that's being used under the latency, as in like the packets that we get from your switches. We look into that and we'll be able to tell you how the usage has been go so far. So if it's latency on the network end or on the application end, you get to choose that. Question number 4 is the support for monitoring Meraki wireless devices. We do support Meraki like firewalls. We can work with Netflow version 9, but we'll have to check on this, the wireless devices. So we can have that monitored, but we just need to make sure that they are able to export the flows to our server on the 9996 UDP port. If that's possible, if you could get that confirmed with Cisco, then we can have that monitored, not a problem. Question number 5, how to monitor traffic for offices at 3 different locations. Okay, so you get to do that by downloading the enterprise edition. So you get things like this. Let me show you. So this is how you will see. You will be having one central server at your base office, and you have the collectors at the 3 different offices that you have. So they are going to collect the information individually, and you can view that using the central server here. I mean, you can view it on the collector also, but if you want a centralized console, then you can use this, which is going to be the central server. Question number 6, how to capture packets for DPI. Okay, so how do you do that is that you'll be doing a screen mirroring, and one of your ports on the switches will be mirrored directly to the, or it will be connected directly to the NIC card of the server that you have the product installed on, so that it will automatically reach that NIC card. We have a packet capture tool that's going to capture the packets, and you can see the information from DPI for latency. Question number 7, what type of attacks are detected by NFA? So as I said, we have 4 different types of attacks that we look into. The prime ones being the DDoS attack. We also look into things like a bad source or destination. We also look into the scan probe attacks and also suspect flows. Any kind of anomalies that come up, you can monitor that. So these are different 4 types that we monitor. Question number 8, what do I see in Medianet reports using the Netflow Analyzer? Okay, so we have the Medianet. Let me show you. So Medianet is for rich media and audio, right? So let me show you. So it shows you the different applications and tells you about the round trip timing, the jitter, things like that. So it gives you 5 metrics. One is the traffic, gives you the information on that. Or let me show it here on the conversation. Yeah. So this is the report that you can take. You can see it shows you the conversations, what application was being used, how many media packets across the packets and volume. You can also look into the round trip timing, the jitter for minimum, maximum, and average, and also the packet loss. It shows you the events, the count, the rate, and all of that. So you can take it as a report right from here, export to PDF. And if you want to even schedule it, you can do it. We have an option. Go to the reports. You have an option that says schedule. Click on it. Go ahead and create a schedule. And here, when you select a source, just you have an option called as report type. Here you can go ahead and create the Medianet report. Okay, so you can get it as a PDF or CSV as per your choice. So with this being said, question number 9: what are the reports I can see in wireless monitoring? Okay, wireless monitoring, you can actually use it for almost every single detail. So as I said, when you go to the WLC, you have an option to look into the different reports we have, like the traffic, the destination. So let me show you. To get a traffic graph, you can see the top clients, the SSIDs, the application, the QoS, conversation, all of that. But you can also do another thing here. Let me show you. So you go to the reports. So any like if you've already had the device or so, you can actually use that with anything. So as you see, all the reports that we have, you can actually see the WLC device. You can get a report for that. So let's say I am taking something like this. I can select that. I can even look into an access point group, SID group, things like that. And even if I'm going to schedule anything, I can see the graphs for that also. So again, as I said, any reports that you see, you already have the option to select the WLC device, and you can take up any report from there. So with that being said, we would like to thank you for your time, and if you want to reach out to us for any help, you can do it. As I said, this is a recorded session that will be available on our YouTube channel too. It's going to be called as your Op Manager Tech Videos. You can find it under youtube.com/Op Manager Tech Videos. We have our online help document at help.netflowanalyzer.com. We also discuss frequent FAQs and anything that the customer puts in. We can discuss that in our technical community. We call it the pit stop. It's available at forums.manageengine.com/Netflow Analyzer. And if you need to write to us for any support, just either being your pre-sales, you're going to see it during the evaluation or after purchase, just write to us at netflowanalyzer-support@manageengine.com. And if you have any sales related query, like if you need a price quote or if you need a renewal quote, anything like that, you can just send it out to sales@manageengine.com. And if you want to reach us directly, you can call the toll-free number 1-888-720-9500, or if you want to call it the other number, which is 408-916-9400. So these are some numbers. Again, this session presentation will be sent to you. So if you need the numbers, don't worry, you will get it on the presentation that you can see. And with this being said, we would like to thank you all for joining in this session. And great thanks to people who have joined in for the second time, as in like they've joined in for the second part from the first part too. So thank you for your continuous support. Again, any queries, please feel free to write to us at netflowanalyzer-support@manageengine.com, and we should be able to help you out. Thank you again. You've been a great audience, and thank you for the questions. This is Deepak signing off.